Hi folks! In this video, I will share with you my experience of buying a condo in Calgary 2 years after, how it still works out to be way cheaper than renting even after a whole year of rate hikes, and why it is one of the best decisions I've made from a financial standpoint. It's a follow-up to my very first video on this channel, which spiked some interest but might have lacked some details, so I decided to do a better job this time around with a proper follow-up. This way you will know exactly how you can get your own place with less than $10,000 in cash, so you can stop paying for someone else's mortgage and start building your own equity instead, all without worrying about sudden 30% rent increases or having to move for whatever reason. As you've all seen, there is no way to predict when a slumlord decides to jack up your rent by 40% just because they can, all while they're paying for their mortgages. The stress and lack of support and stability just ain't worth it. Keep in mind that just last year alone, the cost of a one-bedroom apartment in Calgary skyrocketed from 30 to 40% on average. Same goes with two-bedroom apartments. So today, I will explain in which cases owning your own apartment makes sense, how to make it as beneficial as possible so ultimately it becomes cheaper than your rent, allowing you to save more while building equity. Important thing before we start, I'm not a realtor and I will not promote or advertise anything in this video. I've made it to help people make better financial choices, and it will contain nothing but my experience and helpful free advice. Also, I will never promote crypto scams or some BS get-rich-quick schemes like invest in these stocks to get 10 times returns, which seem to have taken all over YouTube and Instagram in the last 2 years completely. So don't ever expect some kind of easy advice or magical ways to make money from this channel. It just won't happen here. Please leave your like in advance. You can take it back later if you don't like what I've got to say, and let's get going. So I'm pretty sure all of you have noticed how the housing market literally exploded last year for renters, and the same one-bedroom apartments that were going just recently for $1,200 in Calgary are now being priced at around $1,700 and more. Nuts, if you ask me, especially keeping in mind that the inflation still hits people hard, and it's not like the salaries really increased in the last 2 years in Alberta too. So we're kind of approaching Toronto in that regard. I guess we could partially thank USP for keeping the wages stagnant, avoiding the implementation of rent control, removing the insurance caps, and really concentrating on corporate profits instead of the actual working people who are mostly struggling these past 2 years. Anyways, I don't want to make it too political, if you know what I'm saying. I just hope people will vote smart this year and we get a Democratic Party here in Alberta at some point. Then we might have a break. Though, to be honest, I'm not entirely optimistic about that prospect happening either. Anyways, despite all the doom and gloom, the prices for condo apartments haven't changed much in Alberta, and the market remains pretty affordable for a lot of people even now. You can buy your own one-bedroom apartment while having only $10,000 in cash, meaning you put 5% down, of course, on a decent $200,000 apartment, plus the lawyer's fee, to close the transaction, north of $1,500 and $300 to hire a professional to do the condo documents review. Though that's optional, but I still recommend it. You could always go with more traditional 15 or 20% down payment if you have sufficient savings, which brings your monthly mortgage payment down even further. Though to put 20% down would require you to have $40,000 in cash, which definitely, it's not impossible, but certainly difficult to save for a lot of young people. So go with 5% if you gotta. There is nothing wrong with that, despite what other people might tell you. Now, you're all probably asking what's the great math behind it and how it saves you money. Well, look, the rates are now high, true, but they will probably go down by the end of the year. But even with 4.5% mortgage rate, your monthly mortgage payment plus condo fees will be lower in most cases than rent, sometimes considerably lower if you get a good deal. And I will show you a few great deals in this video as an example, so you know it is completely possible, even in 2023, to own your own apartment affordably. Can you say that? Can you say that you can own your apartment affordably? I don't know. Check my grammar, in the comment below. I would really appreciate it. What's important to keep in mind here is that when you buy, you own your place and no one can kick you out of it or increase your monthly payments by 30% or 40%. Plus, every year you owe less and less as you pay down your mortgage and build your own equity, which is not the same with rent at all. When renting, your rent will only increase according to inflation every year. and sometimes even more frequently, as last year has proven. And in that case, you're not building anything, you're just giving money to your landlords and essentially building their net worth instead. You know, either way, I do hope the Democrats will implement a rent control in Canada at some point, so landlords won't be able to increase your rent as often as they do now and buy as much. It is purely a wet dream at that point, but it will be really good for the public. And if you give me a document that asks for my signature to support such implementation, I will sign it with my eyes closed, alright? Now, I've read some total horror stories on Reddit about rent increases in Calgary you just wouldn't fucking believe. So I truly hope the action will take place. But for now, that's not the case. And that is why I have this video made for you, because now it is really more beneficial and it is smarter to buy your own apartment while it's cheap, you know, for 150, for 200 grand, pay your 5%, very bare minimum, get a good rate, you know, find a place with good condo fees, you know, around $300, not more. And then you're paying less than you would have been paying if you rented. And you can always sell the place and, you know, bank the difference that you've been paying into the mortgage for years. I hope it makes sense. You know, especially now with how Canada gets more and more people every year, I just don't see any reason why apartments won't accumulate more value with each year, like in Ontario and BC. Just think about it. With all the immigration from other provinces and 500,000 new immigrants each year, I can almost guarantee the prices will continue to go up. Gosh, I freaking hate it when I sound like a realtor. Between you and me, I actually believe we don't even need them in our day and age anymore. Like at all, and that is always best to find a good place yourself and cut the middleman out of the picture if you can do that. I found my apartment without the help of a realtor, for example, and I will tell you about it in another video that I'm currently working on. So stay tuned, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to that channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, now the fun part. Let's do some math. Let's take a regular one-bedroom apartment, for example. On average, you can find a decent place with reasonable condo fees in the range of $150,000 to $175,000, which is exactly the range I got my place for. But let's go a bit overboard and take the $200,000 range as an example. Assuming you're paying 5% down payment, you would need $10,000 in cash, $1,500 to close the transaction for lawyer, and $300 for condominium documents review, which is optional, but I would highly recommend doing that to make sure the building has a healthy reserve fund and is well managed. Now, with a rate of 4 and 3%, your mortgage payment will be around $1,000 a month, plus say around $300 for the condo fees. Personally, I pay $330 for a 20-year-old building for my condo fees. Sometimes you pay less, sometimes more, but I would say $300 to $400 is a healthy range you should be aiming for. So always look at that first before even looking at the pictures. You might fall in love with a place and then scroll down and see that the condo fees, or how they call them, management fees or whatever, are $600 to $700 per month. Which is ridiculous. Just don't even think about it, alright? It will be more than your mortgage payment. Some condo boards have terrible management and charge people $500 to $700 for the condo fees, which is more than my mortgage payment, for example. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, long story short, there aren't many places left in Canada with a promise of affordable housing, and Alberta sure remains the last resort for young people who still want to have their own place, which explains why so many people my age are living in Ontario and BC without many regrets. It's a wrap for this video. I hope you've enjoyed my insights as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. I will be sharing more in the following videos, so please subscribe, crush this like button hard if you haven't yet, and leave your opinion about the current real estate situation in the market down below. Know what I'm saying?